Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Winning with Jed. I am humbled by the fact that we have Gal Ezra with us today, all the way usually from South Africa, but currently in Florida. Gal, how are you doing today, man?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, you and I talked a little bit before we got on the podcast here to do this, but
Hmm.
um, a lot of the people really want that watch Winning with Jed. They want to win. They want to win in life. They want to win in business, and winning and being successful is such a unique thing for each person. But I would love if you gave just a little bit about you for our viewers so they know who's talking to them.
Yeah, with pleasure. And the one thing I'll say just before that is one of the most important things that I've ever learned from my dad and that we teach to all of our clients is the line that goes, you need to be willing to win and lose with the same level of enthusiasm. If you want to win, you have to be willing to win and lose with the same level of enthusiasm. So you won, you're just as enthusiastic as you lost. Why? Because life is a game. You're playing a game. And imagine if you played Monopoly and it was the end of the world if you lost, or imagine if you played Monopoly and you felt like the greatest thing in the world if you won. It's a game. It's a game. And the same thing if you look at life as a game, and we can talk about that down the line. But as you mentioned, you said the name of the podcast again, which I knew what it was, and then it triggered for me that I wanted to talk to you about that.
Well, thank you for that because I do agree with you. Like, you
Hmm.
need the quickest way to win is to lose. And the reason why I say that is because
Hmm.
you have to learn how not to do things to learn how to do it. And so that I think a lot of people when they'd say, "Oh, come on, man. Really? I'm going to be excited about losing." Like that's just a horrible attitude. And it is hard though for people mentally. It is at least for me when
Hmm.
you lose a couple of times and you keep on losing. You're like, "Am I ever going to freaking win here? Like
Hmm.
can we get a win?" And
Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I do love that because it is true. You have to be comfortable. You have to be excited when you go. People said, Jed, you lost a bunch of times here. How did you keep on going? And I say, I didn't lose. I figured out another way not to do it. So
Yeah, exactly. And that's it, right. And the thing is, if you're worried about losing, if you can't lose with the same level of enthusiasm as winning, what happens is you operate by trying not to lose, which is very different than just creating or playing the game or building. It's like somebody who tries not to die as opposed to living. It's a
yeah,
totally different way. If you're all day long trying not to die, which most people are, by the way, that's the mentality. They're careful, they're worried, they're scared, they think they need to protect themselves, then they're basically trying not to die as opposed to living. And so when
trying
you're
to
willing
live.
to win and lose without the same, when you're willing to win and lose with the same level of enthusiasm, at that moment, you're saying, let me just play.
Let's play the game. Let's see how this works. Okay,
Exactly.
you've
All right.
motivated us even to start here. Tell them who you are.
Okay, who am I? My name is Gal Ezra. I was born in South Africa. I grew up in the US, but I've been back to living in South Africa for the last 14 years. And my parents are Israeli, so Hebrew is my native language at home. It was my first language. And I'm an entrepreneur, mainly. Mainly, I'm a businessman. I start all kinds of businesses and run them and sell them, and I do business. But in parallel, I have a mission, and that mission is to create 10,000 ethical millionaires. That's my mission in
Let's
life.
repeat that. 10,000 ethical millionaires. So they're not out there
Yes.
on the streets selling drugs and doing questionable things. They're
Hmm.
creating real businesses that are going to be successful, that are going to benefit society is kind of what I hear.
Yeah, exactly. And we can go down what does that mean, ethical millionaire, because it goes a little deeper. But that's the general gist is I want to ensure that people are successful in all parts of life. And that's my mission now. So while running businesses, am working on personal development, consulting, coaching, and training corporations, executives, one-man shows, anyone.
So so some people would look at that and they go, come on, Gall. 10,000 ethical millionaires. Is that a
Mhm.
realistic goal? Like, what would you say to him?
Yeah, it is. It is
Okay.
a realistic goal. Yeah, because there's the scope to get to 10,000. It's just a really a numbers game of how many people can you reach, and the ripple effects that one person has is massive. So if I help someone, they will go and create a major ripple. So if I save one family from divorce, which I have more than once, then at that same moment, I didn't just help that family. There's a massive ripple effect for a long time on anyone that knows them, their children, etc., etc. If I help one business to improve, there's a ripple effect, but I can have a direct impact on millions of people, direct impact, especially with the online world today. So you just boil that down to those that want to eat up life and they'll get to that 10,000 point.
I think you're bringing up a really good point, which I love, which is, listen, it's the compound effect, right? It's not
Yeah.
just about you, it's about how you affect and all the people watching this and that are listening to this. It's not, a lot of times people will forget that what I do affects the people around me. And it
Mhm.
can either have a positive effect or a negative effect. And kind of like, can you check yourself before you wreck yourself?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure. You have a major, 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 major effect. And really, most people don't realize how much of an effect they have. There's this idea of, I'm just one person. No, you're not just one person. You have a major impact. And any major impact that ever happened in the world came from just one person.
Well, and you bring up a good point there too, because I think that a lot of people are trained that you can't make a difference individually. Like the
Right.
world's too big,
Hmm.
the mountain's too high, the distance is too far, whatever it is, and so you can't. But everything started with one step. Everything started with one drop of water. Everything started with just one set of words. So
Yeah.
so how do you encourage people to reach their goals? You're creating millionaires. So
Mhm.
how are you motivating those people? How are you creating that success or helping them create that success?
Slowly. Slowly but surely. No, what I'm doing is this. Actually, slowly is partially true because we're not actually looking for. I'm never looking for overnight success, and the only real longevity is through a long-term vision. Long-term vision is the only way to build. And if you ever see something that has a short-term win, there was something unethical there. And any business that was ever ethically established had a long-term side to it. It takes years, 5 years more or less, to just get the business to a good place, let alone where it needs to go to from there. Yet most businesses close within the first 5 years.
I was
So,
gonna say that's a big stat that you just said there, right? It's like most people don't even last 5 years. What's the
mhm.
percentage of businesses that fail before 5 years?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around 92%, depending on the year or whatever that they've measured it, but it's somewhere in the 90% range.
So if you're sitting here and you're watching this and you're in year 6 of your business,
Yeah.
congratulations. Give yourself a pat on the back.
Totally. That's a major accomplishment. Yeah, it's really a major accomplishment. So basically, what I do, first of all, with anybody I work with, is I actually don't do any guesswork. I do testing with anyone. Rigorous testing, much like if you went to a doctor. Imagine you went to a doctor and he said, I think your arm's broken, or I think that you have this illness. Take these antibiotics, I think. It would be ridiculous. It would be
It's a guessing
malpractice.
game. They don't
Yeah,
have any real
yeah.
information. They're just like, well, this could be wrong with you. So just take this pill. And if you still
Hmm.
have a problem, which you will have a problem because they're not
Uh-huh.
fixing the issue.
Correct, exactly. And it would be actual malpractice if they just gave you some handling without diagnosis. So the first thing I do is a thorough diagnosis of any client. And I'm talking about from an analysis on the business. If we're working on the business, a lot of people come to me for personal development, but it'll be from there, including IQ testing, thorough personality testing, and some other qualities that we test for. It takes a few hours.
I am curious with this when you talk about IQ testing.
Mhm.
How many people have a very low IQ that come to you? It
You'll see
probably
that.
can't be many, right? Like, I mean, that doesn't happen often. They're probably
No,
really smart to come talk to you.
look, I'll tell you what. It's actually varied. The IQ is not measuring actually how smart or how stupid one is. What IQ measures is actually the direct thing that affects IQ is how many areas of confusion the person has accumulated over time in life. So the greater the confusion that somebody has, it will hurt their IQ. Their IQ will
Hmm.
drop. Areas that they have misunderstood words and symbols and just confusions in general will hurt their IQ. There was a TED talk done, interestingly, which don't quote me on the exact timelines, but basically IQ goes up and up and up and up and up until the age of 13 or something. At around 13, 14, 15, it starts to plateau. Throughout the end of high school and university, it drops.
Hmm.
IQ drops throughout university. Why? Because at the beginning of life, the kids learn. They ask why, what, and they're asking, what does it mean? Tell me, how does it work? And so IQ raises. Throughout high school, you start to learn, don't ask questions, etc., etc. And by the time you're in the end of high school and university, you're just sitting there confused. You just learn to be a machine that can pass a test. You leave the testing room and you've forgotten everything you just studied. It's
Right.
just a waste of time and accumulating confusion. It hurts their IQ. So what I do, I measurably increase IQ. People think IQ is unchangeable. It's not. You can increase your IQ.
So you're
And
saying that IQ, though, what you're really measuring is their level of confusion. So that
That's
way you
what
can
it
help.
actually that's what it affects. That's what it
See it.
actually affects. But I'm doing a thorough real IQ, but it's not my test. It's a
Yeah.
external company, but that's really what IQ checks for. Somebody has low IQ, they're not stupid, they just have a lot of confusions.
See, and it's interesting because I heard that IQ and I don't know, but maybe I need to work on my IQ. But I understood it to be your ability to identify patterns. But that's it's really good to know. That's good to know.
Yeah.
So okay,
No,
so you go
it's not.
through, you measure their IQ, you're checking all these things out, and then you get in front of them after you've got all the information, and
Build them a program first of all. Mainly there's areas that they need to learn, okay? And what we do is we have something we have a principle that explains it like this. There is something called a fake reality. A fake reality is a piece of information you're 100% sure is right, but when you use it, it doesn't bring you the expected results. So, any area that doesn't produce the expected results, your
Mhm.
sales, your marketing, your relationships, your friendships, your body, any area that you're not getting the expected results in, you are operating on fake realities. You have pieces of information that you're sure is right, but you can't spot them because you're sure it's right. So, what we teach is designed to handle fake realities and to move the furniture in your head and totally get you to see life in a different way. And it ends up producing results. I never care if what I teach is true, not true. Who cares? You be the judge. What I care about is results. Does it improve the results? If you get better results, do it. If I tell you every morning you do this and you try it and it makes you $1 million, then I think every morning you'll do this. So I don't care the methodology. I really don't care. Of course I do because I check that it
I
brings
think
results.
I
That's
think
what I
people
look
are
for.
gonna start rubbing their stomach and patting their head in the morning because they know that that's what you do every morning now.
Right, right.
Um, okay, so you get all these people,
Yeah.
and I think I know the answer to this, but what's the difference between the people that are successful versus not?
Their knowledge, how much knowledge they have. And when I say knowledge, I mean actually applicable knowledge that brings results, not able to pass a test, not parroting. Most people are parrots, but actually how many fake realities they've removed. That's what defines their success. And success is not just financial. I know many millionaires and some billionaires personally that are not very successful in every other part of life, but they figured out the money. And I know some people that have other parts of life that's going well, but they haven't figured out the money. So I'm talking about all parts of life. And there's 8 different parts to life that I look at, and that's where I want everyone to improve in.
Quickly tell us the 8 parts.
Sure. Okay. So if you look at the common denominator of all man, okay, of mankind, the common denominator is that we want to survive. Okay, and that's true for all life forms. Survive is the common denominator. Now, that goes from the blade of grass that went through the concrete to the animals in the safaris of Africa to human beings. The main drive is to survive, but survive can be broken down into 8 parts. You aim to survive through all 8 parts. And the first part is survival as self. Self meaning your mind, your hobbies, brushing your teeth, getting dressed, taking care of yourself. And that's part of how you want to survive is as yourself. The next part is survival through family, relationships, sex as a means of procreation, building the family unit. It's part of how we aim to survive. It's the next level of survival is the family. Above that is the groups that you're a part of. And a group is just defined as a set of people with a common purpose. So if I'm on an airplane and we're all flying right now to New York City, right now we all have a common purpose of getting to New York City. That airplane is a group, but it can also be the soccer team you're a part of, your church, your business, your friend group, etc. You aim to survive through different groups you're a part of. Above that is mankind. Mankind is all people as a whole. So, whereas white people, black people, Jewish, Muslim, Christian is groups, different groups, mankind is everyone as a whole. And if right now, I always use the example of if there was an alien attack right now, everybody would forget about everything and we're now mankind. We don't care who your race, your creed, your color, whatever. We just care about the common enemy to mankind. So mankind as a whole is part of how we aim to survive. Above that is life forms, all forms of life, plants and animals. Then you have the physical universe around you, all the matter around you, the cars, the walls, the buildings, the microphone, anything physical around you is part of survival. If you take care of that, it helps you to survive. Then you have spirituality, and then above that, the supreme being. And the supreme being is whatever that means for you, but some form of a higher power. And that's all 8 parts of life.
Okay.
And that's what I mean. Yeah,
That's awesome. I appreciate you breaking it down. I know that was a
absolutely.
lot to break down and I'm sure you could go into each one of those
Yeah,
into a
for
lot of
sure.
depth.
Yeah.
But tell us, I think one thing that I try to do with winning with Jed is, I like people to be able to listen to this and hear struggles that maybe successful people like yourself have overcome, how what you went through, how you overcame it. Like, can
Yeah.
you go over something with us? What's something you've had as a struggle?
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest turning point in my life is that at 19, I was basically alone in a country that I basically knew no one and had to make it from scratch. Okay? And that was the major turning point in my life. Basically, I was born in South Africa, grew up in the US up until the age of 19. Okay? I was never American though because I was under my parents' visa. And when I turned 19, we, by the book, legally went to get a renewal on our visa. Okay. My parents got it, but I didn't.
They're like, you're out.
Yeah, literally, you're out.
And this
And
isn't recent, right? This is, I mean, I know you're 21 now, but
yeah, yeah, exactly. This was just 2 years ago. No, I'm 34 today, so this was about 15 years ago now, almost. And basically, what happened was they said, look, because I am actually needing to demonstrate ties to a home country, okay, a country that's not the US, you have to show that you have some roots somewhere so that the way the government looks at it is that you're not going to come to the US and stay illegally because you have a reason to leave. But when they looked at me, they see, okay, from the age of 6 years old or 7 years old to 19, you're in the US, you have your friends there, your family there, your schooling was there, everything was in the US. So why would you ever leave if we let you in? That's basically how they look at it. And I was now 19, no longer under my parents' visa umbrella, which was how I was in until then. So, okay, fine. My dad says, go to South Africa because we did this in Israel. Go to South Africa and do a new request in South Africa. You are South African, you have the passport. Go there, make a request. Okay, I fly down there, make another request.
and you're 19 years old. I mean,
I'm
and
19.
and you got to say, I mean, I don't know a lot of 19-year-olds that go to, and I realize this is your original country, but this is kind of foreign to you. You grew up in the US,
Yeah.
right? So it's got to
Mm-hmm.
be a little bit overwhelming, kind of intimidating probably at the time. I don't know, but you
Yeah,
get
sure. I
there.
mean, I was a relatively, I had gone to a boarding school for 3.5 years that in high school, which actually made me super independent. And the nice thing is in South Africa, I had my grandparents there at least.
Okay.
So I
You did
went and I
have an
stayed.
anchor.
I had a kind of an anchor. I was staying in my grandma's little apartment, and that's it. I was just there with her, and that was like the saving grace. But other than that, totally, I hated it. I was alone. Life was moving on in the U.S. Like you have things that you plan to do, and I was planning on doing certain things. My friends went on and did that kind of without me because obviously life goes on. Birthday parties, events, dreams, all that was like,
You're
no,
missing
you're
out on all of
solo.
it.
I'm missing out on everything, and every dream I had as a new adult basically was, for years you think about what are you going to do when you finish high school, whatever. All that went out the window. So it's like back to square zero. I hated being in Cape Town at the time, and anyway, I go and do another request in Cape Town, denied. Long story short, which now looks even worse because I've done two requests now, both denied. So not a very good look. And long story short, I only went home 3.5 years later. So I didn't see my parents for like a couple of, I'm very close to my family. They didn't they I was there for like a year plus before I got to see them. It
So when you
was
say home, you mean back to the US.
the US was
That was
home for
home.
me.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was home at the time. That was home. And my little brother and sister, they're in the US because they were born there, no problem. So they're with my family. I'm basically solo and needing to start from zero and knew no one knew nothing. In that time is when I started everything. It ended up being the biggest blessing in disguise, but it was horrible at the time. But that kick started me starting my whole career from my life from
Okay,
zero. Yeah.
so you're there. I'm not going to say you're scared because at least you have an anchor, but you're confused. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't know where, I moved to a new city. I didn't know where to get my haircut. I didn't know where to get my
Hmm.
mail. I didn't
Yeah.
know where to get food, all the things. You have to
Yeah.
relearn like how to
Yeah.
live, right?
Exactly.
So you get there, you're relearning how to live. You're
Yeah.
kind of frustrated. What the heck is happening? You're making requests to the US embassy. Please let me back in. They're just like, no, 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 no.
Hmm.
And like, so you were at this turning point and you had to make a decision because life wasn't going your way. So
Yeah.
what decision did you make one day? You woke up and you made a decision. What was the decision you made and that made the difference?
That wherever I am, I go all in. And it took me a while to get there because what happened was I was in a limbo, like you said. I had a immigration attorney sort of in the background, uselessly helping, that was saying in a
If you're
month.
watching, you were useless.
Yeah, yeah, literally, it was totally. I didn't end up going back due to them. So really, but at the beginning, a month. It'll be a month. It'll be 2 months. We suggest another. It was like that for a while. So when you're in a limbo, it's weird. Like, what do you do? Do you go get a job because you might leave in a week? Do you sign up for like with a gym membership? Do you go invest in trying to make friends, or do you just wait because you're leaving in 10 days? It was very weird. It was a weird limbo period, and eventually it was like, no, no, no. Where I am, I go all in. That was a real switch. I actually had a conversation with my dad about it one day, and he said, "Stop waiting, just start. If you leave tomorrow, then you leave tomorrow. If you have invested time and and you have to go, then fine. But right now you're here, go all in." And I was like, "Okay, fine, got it." And then after that, I started to get my act together and to go and start life.
You know what I remember, how there used to be all those motivational posters that were
Hmm.
all
Hmm.
over, and there was this one that I remembered and it just really always stuck with me. It was bloom where you're planted, right? And
Uh-huh.
it's this giant rock face, and then you look in one of the cracks on the side of this mountain and then there's a flower there. And it's like
Hmm.
I have to remember bloom where I'm planted.
Yeah.
It may not be comfortable. I may not like where I am, but you can
Yeah.
bloom where you're at. So you decide one
That's
day
exactly it. Yes.
you're like, okay, I'm all in. I'm blooming where I'm planted. Here's what it is. So you go in there and you start making things happen.
Yeah.
You finally went all in. And
Hmm.
then the rest is kind of history, right? You started a company. Is that what?
Yeah.
At
What ended up
19 years old
happening,
though.
Sorry,
At 19
at
years
nine.
old, though, you're starting a company.
No, what happened? I started the company around 21, 22-ish. What happened was at the beginning, I actually went and started to as an actor. That was my first thing. I went and I got an acting agent, and I started to go because I was good at acting. I was like doing it a little bit in high school, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start with that. I got a couple of odd jobs here and there, and I started to build a gigantic network around me. My law. And the thing that I operated on always was the law that communication out equals communication in equals income. So I still operate with that to this day. If I don't have enough income in the business, not enough leads, not enough whatever that I want coming in, I know it's not a lead problem or an income problem. It's a communication out problem.
I think this is a really big nugget here. I think you need to
Mhm.
repeat that.
Yeah. Communication out equals communication in. Communication out equals income. If you don't have enough income, you're not communicating out enough. If you go to a party and any a little party and you're quiet, you won't make new friends. You won't get the income of friends. But if you go and say hi, 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 you might meet the next love of your life. Find a girlfriend, find a best friend. Something will happen because you communicated out. It applies in business and it applies in life. Communication out equals communication in.
I love that nugget, man. I love
Thank
that.
you.
So
Thank
we're
you.
gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna
So
spread the word on that.
yeah, absolutely. That was for me the thing I knew. So starting from zero, I went and just tried to meet as many people as I could. And I met people and met people and met people. And I started doing tiny get-togethers. When I'm saying tiny get-togethers, I really mean tiny, like 15 friends around my grandma's pool in her block of flats, like tiny. And and it ended up growing and growing and growing. And it ended up, I mean, I don't know how, I don't think we have that much time, but it ended up being music festivals. I ended up running some of the most well-known music festivals in South Africa. That was my first business and main business for 10 years.
So 10 years to become an overnight success. That's what I always
Yeah.
say. I'm like, everybody's like, how did you do it? It only took 10 years. And everybody
Totally.
thinks
That's why
that
I was saying it's always long term. It's a long term game.
it's a
No such
long-term
thing as
game.
overnight. Yeah.
Okay, what's one of your biggest nugget? I mean, you've already given us quite a few nuggets, but what is one
Mhm.
of your biggest nuggets of success? Biggest words of wisdom that somebody shared with you or
Mhm.
that you could share with someone else that you've picked up along the way?
Yeah. My mentor, okay, is actually my father. Number one, because he's my father and I highly, highly love and respect him. But number two, because he's a very, very successful business coach and mentor all over the world. So I have that. That was my number one uh, benefit is having him. And that's actually one of the reasons that I feel obligated today to help other people because I know that if I didn't have a mentor or a coach, there'd be just zero chance, zero. So I know the value and I know the necessity of it, right? So he taught me that the definition of the word success is the sum of all validated improvements. Success is the sum of validated improvements, sum adding up and validating, well done, saying well done, validating it, giving it value. Improvements is something that went better than yesterday. And so success is the sum of all validated improvements. What happens? You say, this was good, and this was good, and this was good, and well done, and I like that, and I did better, and finally they called me back, and I got a lead, and I got that, and then it's improving, 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 and all of a sudden, wow, I'm successful. You have, wow, that's success. All of a sudden, there's a tipping point where I've achieved success. But what do most people do? They find everything that was wrong all day long with their day, with their face in the mirror, with their sales cycle, with their calls, with whatever they say, this was bad, and this was bad, and this was bad, and this was bad, and this was bad. And they are unable to achieve success because they are constantly finding what wasn't an improvement. And one of the things I do with my clients is just we have these weekly calls, and the first thing I do is, okay, what was the improvement? The first thing I do with my team in my office every morning is improvements from yesterday. And you'll see that if you do that, sometimes it's tough for people. They cannot think of one improvement. Can like it's a you really need to realize that you must find the improvements every day, and if not, nothing stays the same. Things either got better or worse. So if it was the same, it means it got worse.
Well, I can totally resonate with what you're saying because in my book, Shut Up and Win, we talk about um, that you know, when it comes to success, a lot of us are the biggest critics of ourselves, and we're talking to ourselves. And I think everyone talks to themselves, this inner dialogue. It's our thought life, right? And when we're talking to ourselves, are we beating ourselves up? A lot of times I say, would you even talk to another human being the way that you talk to yourself? And if the answer is no, then stop. Stop talking
Exactly.
to yourself that way. You don't deserve to hear from you like that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
instead, become a super fan of yourself. And I think
Hmm.
that that's kind of what you're talking about is become a super fan to where you're like, a super fan doesn't want anything bad to happen to you, is going to be realistic with you, but it's going to encourage you for every last thing that you can encourage someone to do. Now, I don't hear this coming from you, but the part that I always have a hard time with is these positive affirmation, these insincere positive affirmations. I don't. I always feel awkward about it. I don't think it's bad to do it, but I think that there's something different when there's sincerity behind it, right? Rather than
Yeah.
just like, you're the most handsome looking person in the world, Jed. Like I mean, like,
Yeah.
come
No,
on,
no.
man. Like I know
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul's
I'll tell
way
you.
better looking. Come on.
No, no. I'll tell you. I'll tell you my view on it. Okay. Couple things about this. Okay. Number one, the first thing I want to say, just a quick point, is you've got to be cocky. Okay.
Okay,
And
I like it.
most people say, no, no, be humble. No, don't be humble. What you need to be is cocky and arrogant. But you have to let everyone else be at least as cocky and arrogant as you. And in order to do that, you need to show them how powerful and amazing they are. So it's not I'm arrogant and you're nothing. I'm arrogant and I see your power and get up. Come on, show me. Show me how
Mhm.
amazing you are. I see it genuinely. So the viewpoint is not to be humble. If I went and I created $1 million business, I created that business. Thank you very much. I worked hard. I did that. It's me, and I'm very powerful for doing so. But you can too. So that's the first thing.
Bringing
Now,
people up to the level that you're at,
exactly,
not
not
tearing
humble
people
and
down.
not, yeah, exactly. Now that's the first thing. Now, in terms of the viewpoint on needing to reinforce through whatever it might be your success, I have a curveball for you. And the curveball is this: success is something that only somebody currently failing wants.
So I love this. I'm going to tie it in just because we are starting to get
Hmm.
really low on time.
Yeah, I
I
know.
was going to say, do you feel successful?
I don't feel that in that way. I just create.
Okay.
I create. I create. I know that I'm successful. I don't feel it. I'm successful, period. But I don't want to be. It's not that I'm trying to be successful. I'm creating. Why? Because if I need to be successful or want to be successful, it means I currently am not. If I want a Ferrari, it means I don't have one. But if I have a Ferrari, I don't say I want one. If I want to have a hand, it means I don't currently have a hand. But you don't go around all day long saying I have a hand, I have a hand, I have a hand. But if you just lost your hand and somehow got it back, you'd say, look, I have a hand. But if you want to be successful, it means that you aren't right now. You aren't right now. You're actually reinforcing the fact that you're a failure. So the purpose is not, it's just the truth of the matter. Otherwise, you wouldn't say I want a Ferrari. You basically saying I want a Ferrari is enforcing the fact that you're not a Ferrari owner. That's what it is.
And here's the thing
So,
I'm going to add to that. Okay.
yeah.
Because I think that in today's world, and it's unfortunate, but I think people are very sensitive.
Hmm.
And they hear like, well, you're not successful. Sometimes you need to hear you are not successful. You know what I mean? And you need to just be able to accept it. It doesn't mean that you're worthless. It doesn't mean that you don't have potential. It just means that's where you're at today. And sometimes hearing that harsh reality wakes us up so that we can get where we want to go, right? So how do you bridge that gap?
Because you're not, it's not even that you're not successful, you're just going for the wrong target. Okay, you're going for the wrong thing. You're going for I need to be successful, I need to be successful, I need to be successful. You may be, I'm not saying you're not successful. I'm just saying that if you are going for that target, you might already be successful, but you're still going for the wrong thing. Or yes, you're not successful and you're going for the wrong thing. Your target shouldn't be success, because if your target is I need to be successful, you're saying I'm a failure. Your target should be Simply validating every improvement and creating. Create, 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 play the game, be willing to win and lose with the same level of enthusiasm, and validate the improvements along the way. That's your target, to validate your improvements. Change it from, I need to be successful, I'm the best, I need to tell myself in the mirror 15 times that I'm the best. No, just what went right today. Validate it again and again and again and again, and keep creating. Now, for some people, that might be too simple. And what do you mean? And that's all. Try it. Try it for a day, 2 days, and see the difference of removing this thing of I need to be successful and instead validate your improvements.
I love it. I think this is great, man. You've given us some
Thank you.
great nuggets.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I think we could probably talk for like a couple of hours, but
Yeah.
unfortunately, we're gonna
Yes.
have to call it. But Gal, you're obviously an amazing coach, an inspirational person to have on here, and so I just want to thank you for taking your valuable time and being a part of our podcast. And you've given me some really good things to think about. I'm hoping that all of the people that are watching this or listening to this also have some great things to think about. Where can people find you?
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much for having me on as a guest. I really, really appreciated it. And where you can find me is social media, of course, and I'll give you my website. On social media, I reply to every DM, every communication, always. So if you just want to DM me and I can get you some free resources to start with, just Gal A Ezra, Galazra, Gal A Ezra on all platforms. DM me, tell me that you saw me on your podcast here with Jed. And basically, in terms of the website, you can go to gprosperity.com. G stands for guaranteed. Everything we do is guaranteed. So gprosperity.com. And on there, we have a ton of free resources. And again, when I say free, it's not just a way to like I give you something like glow and then buy the next thing. And it's really not I hate those things. It's actually really, really, really high value, amazing content on many subjects. You'll see on the homepage, you can pick what subject you want to get something free about, and you go there and just start. So go to gprosperity.com and start there.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know I got a
Absolutely.
lot of value out of this, and it's been a great time having you here. Hopefully, sometime we'll be able to catch up again soon. Gal,
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to hearing
absolutely.
about all 10,000 of those people that you're going to
Yeah.
help make an ethical millionaire.
Yes.
So anyway, we'll see you next time on Winning with Jed. Thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we'll have some great guests coming up soon.